Hello everyone. Yesterday we spent a little bit of time talking about buying a pattern from the store. If you have not seen that video, please go back to yesterday's worksheet, and it is entitled McCall's Patterns. So today we'll talk about what is inside this envelope that's so important in making this particular project. As we said yesterday, just shortly, the information that you'll find on the envelope is if it's an easy or hard pattern. It also gives you a reference number that you can look up in the pattern catalog, and it directs you to where you can find the pattern. The name of the company. It also on the front lists the sizes of the project that you're going to make. It shows you photos, usually of just the front or sometimes the side views of what you're going to sew. And in this case, we're seeing also diagrams showing us variations of these two projects. So this one and this one has what we call a stand-up collar. This one has a hoodie. And this one has a regular collar attached to it. So there's three different ways that you can make this outfit. The fabric, of course, is not included in the project. That is something that you're going to have to purchase on your own. And again, when we look at the back of the envelope, we're going to see information on what types of fabrics we need to purchase, what notions we need, such as zippers and thread and buttons, how much we need to purchase, and our sizes as well. So for a size large, we may have to buy a particular length of fabric. Now, when you get the pattern home, you, inside the pattern, will get two pieces of information. One is an instruction sheet into the pattern. And it will look something similar to this. This will show us the front view as well as the back view. There are references to pattern symbols and what they mean on top of the pattern, so you know how to use the pattern. When we turn the paper over, if you can see this, it's showing us how many pieces we need in order to construct what we are going to sew. Not all these patterns are used. For example, this one is a hood. If you're not making something with a hood, then you don't need to use that one. You don't need to use something if you're not making a pocket. This gives us the numbers, and it also tells us on the bottom what the pattern pieces are. It will also tell us how to lay the pattern on the fabric. Like this pattern is showing pocket. They're showing a shaded area of this rectangle here. There are two pieces of fabric here. When it's a rectangle that's shaded on the bottom, it means that's the right side of the fabric facing the right side of the fabric. And on top is where the placement of the patterns are going to go before you pin them down and cut them out. The pattern is also good in the sense that it will give you directions as how to make that particular garment. It starts off with step number 1 after you cut your fabric, and it tells you how to start putting it together, how to apply the pockets and the sleeves as well. So this is really a good instruction sheet to follow and accurate. Now, if you have some experience in sewing and know quicker ways to sew the project together, you can use that. There are a lot of tips on YouTube and in books about how to sew the project, how to finish off the project, and those are good examples to follow. I would practice them first before you actually start. The last thing you're going to have in your envelope is a tissue paper, and it's actually going to be the patterns themselves, as you can see. So, for example, I hope you can see this. There is a pattern piece here, and what we do is we always cut the pattern pieces out first before we pin them on to the fabric. A lot of people want to cut them out and leave a space around them. to actually cut on the line that is the right size for you. This says number 2. This is telling us it's a front for the styles A, B, and C. And it will have several types of symbols. Some patterns will show a solid black line. The solid black line is your cutting line when you cut it out of the fabric, not when you cut it out before you put it on the fabric. You will see little diamonds or notches, as you can see there. And when you cut on the black line, you cut into the notch. This is to mark it, because that's telling us that something is going to fit to this piece. In this case, since it's an armhole, we're assuming it's going to be a sleeve. Also for the neck, you can see this as well. They're showing us a clip on the neckline. This might be the ending of a collar. On the pattern, you're going to see a double arrow. And this arrow goes onto the other side here of the pattern. This is a grain line arrow. You have to lay it parallel to the edge of your fabric, evenly all the way across, and we'll be practicing this. And you will measure from this end of the arrow to the edge of your fabric. And remember, parallel is anything that is from this distance to that distance, and on the other end of the arrow, from this distance to that distance, an equal amount. There may be other pattern symbols that you will need to know. I'm going to be providing you with a worksheet with those so you know what they are, so you have a better understanding of how to use them when you're making your project. We may not get around to sewing a garment this semester, but we will have a sewing project that will have pattern symbols on it as well. If you have any questions at all during this time, please feel free to drop me a line and I can help you concerning a particular project, information on the sewing pattern, or the envelope. Again, when you purchase your envelope, your pattern, the pattern in here to cut your fabric out is in here, as well as how to lay your fabric out, which is the instruction sheet, as well as the instructions on how to start sewing your project as well. It's really a good guide to keep in mind. Again, if you need to use other references, you want to learn some quicker tips of how to sew it, you can always go to YouTube, use some good sewing books and other materials to help you out.